Born from the breath of a dragon, the balance of a crane, and the deadly aggression of a tiger, the Uechi Ryu is the crown jewel of Okinawan karate, an art of war forged for true martial supremacy. Welcome to Martial Road, a journey through forgotten techniques, forbidden moves, and the untold power of martial arts. While some of the breathtaking Okinawan Uechi Ryu moves taught to karate fighters in the old days have been kept hidden for years and passed only to trusted gatekeepers, modern combatants have flung closed dojo doors open, seeking answers. Which combat techniques were kept a secret? Why were these techniques hidden from the public eye? Join us as we unveil 10 secret Uechi Ryu karate moves and how deadly they are. Number 10. Sanchin Stance, the root of power. The Uechi Ryu Karate was built around balance, toned with a bit of aggression and core power. At the very top of the power scale, the Uechi Ryu created the powerful Sanchin Stance. To get into the stance, the fighter plants his feet, one in front of the other, with the back leg holding a straight center line and the forward foot turned inward, gripping the earth like roots in the soil. A game of balance. At this point, the fighter learns resilience, as he is being barraged with a rain of blows and jabs to the torso, his stomach and abdomen, riling up the beast and strengthening the core. As he breathes right into his lower abdomen, the deep inward breathing, calm in his nerves, gets him ready to be unleashed in a fight. When this stance is in play during a fight, the attacker can simply launch an attack, generating a raging storm of power from that still position where his strengthened core relaxes, a whip-sharp death blow from a still stance. To test the technique, the ancient dojos ask a fighter to keep the stance while he is being forcibly moved out of position. If he stands his ground, he has mastered the Sanchin Stance. Number 9. The Iron Palm of Buddha, Strike of the Dragon. In martial arts, especially karate, striking power is mostly generated from the hip. A free throw of the arm like a kid in a brawl on a basketball court carries absolutely no power, hence the need to generate core strength. The iron palm technique was once discussed as a myth, especially since it was outrageously epitomized in Hollywood fiction like Kung Fu Hustle, where a simple stretch of the palm in any direction without contact was still able to destroy its target. However, causing irreparable damage to an opponent using the iron palm strike required a few things: a relaxed wrist, an extended arm, and a strike generated from the hip, causing a potential knockout. To achieve that level of mastery, the Okinawan dojos used to train fighters to hit an immobile surface, ranging from heavy sandbags to brick, creating a beast of a palm. In modern-day karate, new masters teach this technique using the Chinese hand conditioning guide, including the walk method, the pawing method, and the tree striking method, forging the man into a weapon. Number 8. The Shoken Thrust, one-knuckle death strike. In the heat of battle, sometimes the Tori wants a quicker end to the contest, ending the fight in seconds, so he pulls out a move that stuns the uke, the Shoken Thrust. This Shoken Thrust was not a move created to subdue an opponent, but rather aimed for the kill. To perform this action, the fighter wraps his pinky, the ring, and the middle finger together tightly into his palm, then tightens the three by pushing his thumb in before forming the death shoken with his index finger, pressed between the thumb and the middle finger. Once the Tori pulls this move in karate, the crowd gasps, and they know exactly what to expect: a loud cry, a groan, or in some cases, an unconscious uke. Although this move seems rather easy to pull off, the intricacies of forming the Shoken fist and the brutal consequences of forming it wrongly, including dislocation and a bone break, make it a nightmare for most low-level karate fighters to try. Number 7. Shoken Riposte, Flesh Meets Stone. The Uechi Ryu creates as many conditions for counterattacks as it does for attacks, with the Shoken Riposte at the very tip of the counterattacking helm, striking a balance in the techniques. The Shoken Riposte is a completely different beast, an animal that can only be fed with an attack and is ready to counter. During a fight between the Tori and the uke, when the earth shatters with anger, grief, and power, and the uke releases a quick jab or a blow to a vulnerable spot, the Tori deploys the Shoken Riposte. Ancient dojo taught the move, using unsuspecting sparring partners, welcoming them to attack before countering with a Shoken riposte. But just how exactly is the riposte performed? During a fight, when the warrior suspects he is about to take a dangerous hit, he raises his forearm, which has been conditioned through training to take huge hits. Once the strike lands, it sends a kinetic shockwave through the Tori's hands, and it ends in the hip, as he takes a Sanchin Stance before he then counterattacks with a punch to the solar plexus, the throat, or the groin. Number 6. The Phoenix Eye Fist. Precision Pain. The Phoenix Eye Fist is one of the most delicate fighting techniques in the world of karate. When a warrior takes on the uke, the Phoenix Eye Fist is used to create a lasting impact that might end that contest in seconds, depending on the force applied. Think of it like elementary science. Pascal's principle precisely. Pressure is force over area. Hence, if the area is smaller, the pressure is greater. For some context, if a woman or just about anyone with smaller hands uses the Phoenix Eye technique, they clench their fist and raise their index finger to form a pointy knuckle. They tend to generate more impact. Old Okinawan dojos taught this technique as a Hail Mary to help a fighter maximize the impact of their fist, especially when they use the Phoenix Eye against a fighter carrying a melee weapon like a knife, a cudgel, and in some cases, a baton. Nothing disarms a fighter than a disorienting pointed knuckle stroke to the ribs or throat. When the move is deployed, it sends a sharp pain up the head of the uke, as it is targeted in the most bony parts for maximum impact, with areas like the solar plexus, the esophagus, and the torso being the Tori's favorite choice area of strike. Number 5. The Circle Parry. Redirecting Force. In karate, the old sensei Gata emphasized the importance of a stance more than any other technique, as it serves as the base for building the most outrageous technique, and the circle parry is one of such techniques. To perform this action, the Tori not only needs to anticipate the uke strike, but also keep a wide stance, like the Sanchin or the Kiba base stance, where their feet are planted deep in the earth to make them immovable. Other than brute force, the circle parry is more tilted toward shifting momentum by using the opponent's movement and body weight against them. The Tori is expected to use a circular motion to raise his leading arm before pivoting sideways to dodge the uke's attack before it reaches him, causing an overexertion of weight and momentum on the uke's part, which he then steals in the same breath and flips the attack, targeting whatever vulnerabilities he wishes to exploit. While a torso or groin attack sounds like a safe bet to end the contest, sporting bodies for mixed martial arts, MMA, have set rules against hits that could cause intense bodily damage. Number 4. The Tiger's Pounce. Explosive Counter-Strike. The Tiger's Pounce is an explosive style of combat that ups the ante during a battle between the uke and the Tori. But here comes discipline from the Tori. While you might get away with making rash combat decisions with a scattergun approach at the base of your fighting, in a coordinated fight against a trained combatant, that scattergun approach is a road to quick death. The Tiger Pounce requires calm and discipline. It's a waiting game for the Tori, drawing the uke in and forcing them to overextend themselves in a bid to catch the Tori off guard. Consequently, the Tori takes a Sanchin Stance, with the hind leg driven further back and dug deep into his heels before he lunges forward with an attack, catching the uke off his guard and forcing him to retreat or suffer more damaging blows to the most vulnerable parts of his open body. Number 3. The Crane Block. Deflecting Chaos. In the Uechi-Ryū Karate fighting style, the attacker welcomes the chaos without forcing their opponent into any sense of calm. In fact, they open up their body while in a Sanchin Stance to create a false sense of insecurity to the opponent, hoping that they bite the bait and embrace the chaos. The crane block is the attacker's sense of order, trapping their opponent in their arms and leaving them to decide if they want to counter or simply let them go. Basically, they play God. But just how does one create this sense of calm and chaos? The attacker uses the crane-shaped move, in which both arms are stretched in opposite directions and the wrist is curled in, like the head of a cobra anticipating danger. Hence, when the opponent embraces the chaos, they quickly snuff it out, keeping their hands still in the crane shape and take control of the contest. Number 2. The Ushiro Mawashi Geri, the unseen blade. The spinning heel kick is like watching a tornado unfold right in front of your eyes, with the attacker trying to spin his heels into the most vulnerable spot on the uke. But just how does a fighter carry out this spinning tornado? For many years, the Uechi Ryu kept the spinning heel kick within the secret dojos of Japan, especially because it tended to neutralize an opponent in a matter of seconds, with a possibly fatal consequence. To execute this move, the attacker plants his legs in a stance, which could be Sanchin or Akiba stance, with the hind leg slowly chambered to move in an unexpected turn of events. The art is based on deception, as the Tori masks their true intentions by lifting the lead leg for a while, before the circular trajectory is introduced to execute their intentions. And the hind leg comes like a flash and hits the uke unexpectedly, swinging the heel or the sole across the uke's vulnerable body. After all warfare is based on deception. Number 1. The Dragon Breath. Power from within. The most important fighting techniques in the world start with getting the breathing right. In the ancient monasteries and dojos, the sensei gata enforces hours of meditation, where the students learn to breathe in and out, following a set frequency that vibrates with the rhythm of the mind, soul, and body, harmonizing into one solid weapon. The dragon breath is a dangerous part of the Uechi-Ryū secret. It is kept hidden at its core, because breathing techniques in martial arts are the keys and pathways to opening up channels of strength in a trainer. When a trainer uses dragon breath, they meditate for hours, inhaling deeply into the hara, the lower belly, and exhaling rapidly out, controlled through the mouth and the nostrils, keeping the cool inhaled breath in the lower belly, storing energy, expanding the ribs and lung capacity in the process, strengthening the core, and catering to the spirit. A man trained in the arts of dragon breathing strikes from the soul, packs a punch from his core, shatters ribs, breaks bones, and ends lives in one strike. Although the breathing techniques are not as hidden as they are in Hollywood fiction, they are definitely not taught to just anyone by masters of the Uechi Ryu. Should the pathway to the depth of the Uechi Ryu remain lit, will you quicken your hands and teach your bones to war? On Martial Road, we follow those shadows. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and see where they lead.